All right, hi everyone. This is Faye, producer of Career AMA. This is a special short series where Michael and Mark are going to give very crisp and short answers to these popular questions for executives. Consider this your free executive coaching. With that said, let's get started. How can I improve my leadership effectiveness?
Easy. Be more followable. In order to be a leader, people have to follow you. So how do you be more followable? Make a choice, make it bigger, keep it tidy, be clear. Michael?
Be more curious. Stay in a place of curiosity just a little bit longer, and not curiosity where you think you know the answers, not curiosity where you're trying to lead somebody else to your brilliant answers. Stay curious. Why would you do that? What are you thinking there? That's interesting. Stay curious.
What strategies can I use to better manage my team?
Partner with your team. Be honest as you can with them about what's going on, where you need their help, and engage them in making decisions together wherever possible. It's not always possible, but they know more than you think. They want to contribute more than you think, and they have more to contribute than you might think. So ask them, engage them, and get them involved.
Yeah, if you're new to them, ask them what's been a great manager for them. What's happened in the past that has been really helpful, useful management for them? And then take that into account. Is that something you can do? Do you think that will be good management? Start with what they're saying they need, unless you start to think, they don't really need that. That is an option as well, but start by asking them.
How can I balance short-term pressures with long-term strategic goals?
Very tricky, I would say. It's a bit of an evil question, that one, because is it long future or short, long, short? It's really difficult. Well, maybe manage both of them by looking at that long-term goal and splitting it into shorter term, so you know that you're managing both at the same time. So first of all, strategize. Look at the long-term goal, split it into doable chunks, and now manage those doable chunks.
Understand that the long-term focus is going to come when the short-term ends, but you have to be ready. So know what the long-term things are you want to think about when you're going to think about them. Have them in your list. And when the short-term pressure lifts at that moment, focus on that. And then the short-term is going to come right back. But be ready for it. Don't have to scramble when you get that breath in the short-term to think, oh gosh, what do I do now? Be ready to roll with thinking about your long-term strategic goals.
What are the best ways to manage change within my organization as a C-suite or senior executive?
Don't manage it like you manage other things, which is by finding an expert or the best person and handing it over. The best way you can manage change is by understanding how you change and sharing those stories with others, which means you're going to have to go through changes. I'm in the middle of doing this work right now with senior executives all across this country, where they have to first realize that their number one job is actually managing change by experiencing it, building as a strength and a capability, and sharing their stories to create the safety for others to do the same.
How can I enhance my communication skills, especially during difficult conversations?
So difficult conversations, know that you are going to default to instincts, okay? So think about the last difficult conversation that you had. What happened in that you weren't so happy with, okay? Think about that feeling that you had. Think about the behaviors you started to do. The next difficult conversation you have, you're most likely to go into those behaviors. What are the behaviors you would prefer to do? How do you do those behaviors? Now, you know probably the next difficult conversation you're going to go into. I want you to start doing those better behaviors, the ones that you want to do, before you've even got into that conversation. When you wake up in the morning, you start doing those behaviors and you see it through the whole of the day.
One of my favorite Career AMA Shorts question is, how do I manage my personal brand and legacy as a senior executive within and outside of the organization?
Yeah, what tends to happen is that people manage their brand, but they haven't even set their brand. They're managing something that hasn't been decided on. So first of all, really make sure you've decided on your brand. Now, there are many different ways of defining brand as well. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to go, whatever way you define brand, you've got to set it in order to be able to manage it, to work out it's the wrong brand and you should reset your brand, or it's the right brand and you've got to keep on managing it like that.
What are innovative ways to foster a more creative and inclusive corporate culture?
then simply get more people together and leave the questions open. Be thoughtful. Go to a different place. Don't run your meetings the same way. You can do the things you like, get out the crayons or have people take it from a different perspective or answer the weird questions. And there's lots of people that can help you with music and art and all sorts of things. But introduce things that are more creative to more people and have a broader discussion. Mark?
Yeah, one method of creativity is to look outside of what's happening in your area and find out, well, what are they doing over there in an area which isn't even adjunct to mine? It's like so different from mine. And what if we did that here? That's a creative experiment. Now, what if you did that with inclusivity? What if you went, hang on, let's be creative with inclusivity. Let's go to a business or an organization or something way outside of our world, find out how they're being inclusive and experiment. What if we're inclusive like that with us? That's creativity and inclusivity all in one. By the way, know that it may fail. It may not work but you got to try it. I don't know whether it'll work or not. Yeah, don't test it in your mind, unless it's potentially fatal, then test it in your mind first of all. But, be really creative, which means put the pen to the paper and give it your best shot and then go, did this work? Would we do it again?
How do I navigate the complexities of corporate politics without compromising my values?
I would ask you the question of, is your navigation of this valuable enough that you would be prepared to compromise them? It's a compromise. You're not destroying them. You're compromising them. Yeah, you're balancing them. We're not throwing them out completely. It's not changing you. You're going to have to compromise. And that's the nature of politics. What we do instead of fighting is we talk and we compromise and we make deals, which sometimes we don't get all our own way, all our own values. We have to take on other people's ways and values. Is the outcome valuable enough that you would compromise? Because politics is compromise. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I think about it in my, for those of you who read my book, The Heart of Transformation, one of the questions in there is this who we really are? And so I would hide in plain sight and ask the question, say, there's a lot of complexity to this, and it feels like there's a lot of politics. Are we doing the right thing here? Is this who we are? What are we compromising? And I would engage others in the discussion, not make it just my own burden to bear. Raise it up as a possibility that this is a compromise. Is it a compromise that's worth the outcome, as Mark was talking about? And so it's making the trade-offs that get you to a better outcome? Or is it a compromise that is eroding away at what your values really are? You need to know the difference. There's a whole big, long spectrum of compromise to a little bit of tweak that gets you to a great outcome to completely destroying your values. Know where you stand and talk to others about that.
How do I prepare for and manage succession planning effectively as a leader?
There's that element there of who needs to be brought into that planning. What people tend to do is just bring in the leadership, and those to succeed or finding those to succeed, rather than bringing in other stakeholders as well. Elements like clients, because on the whole, you're probably selling some goods or service or you serve in some way some people. They need to be brought into this as well, because what can constantly happen is succession happens and all the people who you were relying on in terms of customers, clients, etc., they don't like it. They walk away. Involve even more people. Michael.
Only thing I would add to that is, and this is hard to do, but easy to say, hard to do. Know your sell-by date. Because if you're going to be a leader who's planning for succession, you need to be looking for what's next after you and realizing that something's going to come along after you that's going to succeed you and do well. So you need to know when it's time to go, and you need to be actively and bringing those people up behind you and not be threatened by that. If you're threatened by the fact that your sell-by date's coming, you're trying to push it off, you'll stay in the job for a long time, but you'll start to stink and get sour. And we've seen that happen in too many organizations. Better to move on and find the next best, bigger, better thing for you as well.